We're now going to consider the large intestine, which we also refer to as the hindgut. Overall, the large intestine is approximately 7 metres long in an adult horse and has a capacity of around about 125 litres, and it comprises 60% of the total volume of the horse's gastrointestinal tract. When we describe the large intestine, we think of it usually in three parts: the cecum, which is the first part of the large intestine after the ileum, and the large colon, and then the small colon. And in addition to this, the final part of the large intestine is the rectum. The large intestine itself is lined with mucus-secreting glands, but there are no digestive enzymes secreted in the large intestine. So unlike the small intestine, where you have your amylases and your lipases and your proteases, you don't have any of these digestive enzymes secreted in the large intestine. Instead, what is in the large intestine is a large microbial population. And this microbial population ferments the feed residues that enter the large intestine from the small intestine. So if we consider first of all the cecum, which is the first part of the large intestine and the first part after the small intestine. So feed residues from the small intestine enter the cecum. The cecum itself is about 1.2 metres long and has a capacity of around about 30 litres, and in itself is around about 15% of the horse's gastrointestinal tract volume. When we think about the cecum, we describe it as this large blind-ended sac-like structure, and you can see what it looks like in the image here. Digesta enters the cecum through the ileocecal valve, and it leaves the cecum through the cecal-colic valve. Now, the cecum has been described as a large fermentation vat, and it's often been compared to the rumen of the cow, where a microbial fermentation takes place. Then, following on from the cecum, we have the large colon. Large because it's large in diameter, but it's about 3 to 3.5 metres long. It also has a large capacity of around about 75 litres, and we talk about the large colon in terms of its various segments. So we have the right and the left ventral colon, as you can see from the figure here, and then the left and the right dorsal colon. And these four parts of the large colon are connected by bends which we call flexures. And these flexures are often sites of impactions in the horse. So when you hear about people talking about horses with colics, impaction colics, this is often, you'll find one of these flexures in the large intestine environment in the large colon here. And then moving on from the large colon, the feed residue moves through to the small colon. Called the small colon because it's small in diameter. It's about the same length as the large colon, 3 to 3.5 metres, but it has a much smaller capacity of around about 20 litres. And the main function of the small colon is the absorption of water. So the majority of microbial fermentation actually takes place in the cecum and the large colon. So, I've mentioned microbial fermentation quite a few times now, but what does this actually mean? Well, as I said before, horses themselves don't produce enzymes that digest fibre. So what that means is, in the small intestinal environment, there are no enzymes produced by the horse itself that can actually break down the fibre to end products that the horse can absorb. So instead, that fibre travels through the small intestine into the hindgut. And in the hindgut, there is a microbial population that ferments the digester that enters to produce end products. And these end products are predominantly the volatile fatty acids, acetate, butyrate and propionate, and also some gases, again predominantly carbon dioxide and methane. The microbes that are present in the hindgut are diverse. We know actually very little about them, but we think there's around about 400 species there, probably more. The majority appear to be bacteria, but there are also fungi and protozoa as well. So the function of the large intestine is predominantly to digest fibrous components of the feed to produce these end products, these volatile fatty acids, which the horse then absorbs across the gut wall and uses as an energy source. So horses can use fibre very well as a source of energy, and this is what we call slow release energy. But horses need fibre not just for energy production, but also to maintain this hindgut environment. So these microbes that live in this environment, they rely on fibre entering the large intestine so that they can survive as an energy source for them as well. So it's important that this large intestinal environment remains stable, and we need to make sure that our feeding strategies are appropriate to make sure that this happens.